We've got our first official look at the upcoming animated Garfield movie. Let's take a look. That's right, Garfield is back, and coming in hot and fast like a cheap takeaway lasagna is our first look at the upcoming movie, now officially known to be called the Garfield Movie, not to be confused with 2004's Garfield the Movie. 20 years on and Garfield is hitting the big screen once again, this time in a fully animated adventure. It's been 2 years since we first got news on this one, and finally Sony Pictures has promised that a trailer is just around the corner. In the lead up to the trailer, which is dropping tomorrow at the time of this video's publication, Sony has given us our very first look at the film by way of this promo image of Garfield and his doggy pal Odie. Naturally, the movie has turned to a more comic-accurate design for the characters, after their somewhat realistic looks from the pair of movies from 2 decades ago. While this is technically a Columbia Pictures and Alcon Entertainment production with artistry by DNEG Animation, there's no escaping the fact that these designs certainly look in line with some of the more contemporary Sony animation characters, and in fact the movie is rumoured to take on the same kind of CG 2D hybrid style Sony has popularised with their 2 Spider-Verse flicks. I'm actually quite happy with how these two look, though I know Garfield fans are a little aflutter about these designs on social media today. But let's wait for the trailer to see these guys in movement before we get too worked up. Of course, Hollywood's animation adaptation It Man, Chris Mario Pratt, will be taking on the role of Garfield, and I imagine when the trailer rolls around we'll get our first chance to hear his voice for the character, which will likely just sound like Chris Pratt as Chris Pratt again. The film is also set to sport a pretty solid support cast, including Samuel L. Jackson as Garfield's father Vic, and in unannounced roles Nicholas Hoult, Ving Rhames, Cecily Strong, Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Bowen Yang. We also don't know much about the premise of this one just yet, but it has been suggested that it will be an origin story charting Garfield's early days as a young kitty and how he ultimately wound up with his owner John and pet dog Odie. Some recently released concept art certainly points to this being the case. So in only a few hours from the publication of this video, we'll have our very first Garfield the Movie trailer. And even as someone who isn't a huge Garfield fan, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing more. And if that, I want to know your thoughts on the upcoming The Garfield Movie. Are you excited for the incoming trailer? As always, join the conversation down below.